The Utah Mammoth is sorta proud to present NashCast.
What the is a NashCast?
NashCast, the only hockey show on the planet. Hosted by a human speed bag, fourth line wannabe, healthy scratch, schnozzy moto, Tyson Nash.
Who the hell is Tyson Nash?
Never heard of him.
And the baritone with a brain, the velvet hammer, Mr. Silky, Tono Suave, the radio voice of your Utah Mammoth,
Code Blue!
Mike Folta.
Oh, Captain, my Captain!
NashCast begins now.
Ready for takeoff.
Here's Tyler Ganoush and Mickey Foghorn. Wait, what? Oh, here's Tyson Nash and Mike Folta.
Feeling good, folks. Holy, the Stanley Cup Finals is over. And I'm so depressed, buddy. I am so depressed. I wanted more. I wanted more. I thought the Canes were going to win. I did. It's well documented, but I wanted to see a Game 7. I wanted to see a Game 7. I wanted Carolina to go back to Carolina and win. It's great to win, right? It really is. But you win in Vegas. I hope they stayed the night. I don't know if they did. I saw clips that they were at some club, Stanley Cup in hand, doing all the stuff, all the shenanigans, and they better be partying like rock stars, these guys, because they deserve it. I think they're so buttoned up, the Carolina Hurricanes, all season long. It's all about business with obviously Coach Brind'Amour, who, to me, again, I love John Cooper. I'm kind of going on a rant here, folks, but I'm going to say it again. How is Brind'Amour not the coach of the year? I love Cooper. He should have won 2 Jack Adams. He finally gets his first one this year. But how? Playoffs matter, folks. Take it away. Take it away.
Oh, I love it. You're on one. Are you hunting for your dinner right now? Like, you're out in the wilderness, it looks like.
I am. I'm hunting for my golf ball, actually. I just got off the course. I was Army golf. Left, right, left. I was all over the place. I'm smoking a cigar like I'm sure all the Hurricane players are right now, as they should be. What a playoffs. What a Stanley Cup. Honestly, like the games, what we saw, what we witnessed, the overtimes, the first round, the second round, all of it. Like, it doesn't get any better. Utah Mammoth, most importantly, making the playoffs. Let's go, setting a new standard. The bar has been set.
Yeah, and I hope that, like, the last game, the shutout, and the way that Carolina overwhelmed Vegas, I hope that doesn't take away from the way that people remember this final series, because it was entertaining night in and night out, especially those first few games, and the Hurricanes kind of pulled away in the last couple. But oh my gosh, what drama! And you said it, like, it's depressing now. Like, when the channel switched from, like, the Stanley Cup final post game to, like, some random sitcom, I'm just sitting there, like, in my couch, popcorn in my belly button, and
You're like Mr. Bissonette.
I'm just
chips
like,
out of his belly button.
I'm like, what am I supposed to do now?
That is a terrible visual, by the way. An awful visual. But I love it. You're right. Now we're looking, what is it? David Letterman, Jay Leno. Like, that's what we have to look forward to. Every night, like last night, we're at this golf resort here. It was packed. You had Donald Trump, his 80th birthday. You had the UFC pumping. You had, I mean, we had that on like 5 TVs. We had the Stanley Cup Finals on the other 5 TVs. I'm like, this is nuts. You couldn't even move in this place. It was so electric. It was fun. And how about the story of Boosie? Like,
oh my gosh,
Craig, like, obviously Anderson, you feel for him. Claude Lemieux was his agent. Very emotional. This kid comes in after Anderson gets pulled, and he never gets his net back, right? With Anderson. Boosie was a story. His mom and dad in the stands, his fiance, like, it was like, that's a storybook, literally a storybook ending to a season. The only thing I wished, and I had to research it, I think he just signed like a 3-year contract in the middle of the season. And I'm like, oh my God, like this guy should be making like 6-7 million. after what he just did, right? And now he's going to be making, I don't know what he's making. He was just happy to be in the league.
That's why they locked those. Yeah, he was at a gas station in like Durham when they called him and were like, "Hey, change courses. You're headed to Raleigh. You're headed to the Carolina Hurricanes because they need you right now because of their goaltender intrigue at the start of the year." He was incredible to start the year.
Oh.
Finished out the season on a high note. I think it came out that Anderson was. I think Elliot Friedman said he was dealing with a knee injury or something.
Okay.
But how about them handing the cup to Freddie Anderson? He was the first guy to get it after the captain, Jordan Stahl. Like,
well, he got him there. He got him there, right?
That's so cool. That's so cool.
And the interaction between Anderson and Boosie after, I loved it. I would pay any amount of money to find out what was said in Boosie's ear from Anderson. That conversation, right? We'll never know. But it was certainly something special, and it just shows you again. It takes everybody. It takes extras. It takes healthy scratches. It takes everyone pushing and pulling. What was that? Their whole thing was pulling on the rope, right? I think, and we got Mike Commodore and Ray Whitney on. We asked them that question, what their shirt was, what their whole saying was leading up to their 2006, I believe, 20 years ago. They won a cup, and now Carolina won it again.
Well, we had Commie and the Wizard, Ray Whitney, on before Game 5.
Yeah.
And in the interview, you'll hear Commie mention that he's like, "Hey, I might do the siren for Game 5." And
did he ever?
He cranked the wheels off that thing, and what do you know? They win Game 5 at home, and then they go on to win the cup the next game. So, and that was right after they lost, I think, Game 4, right? So he turned it around.
And Fultz, yeah, it was all Mike Commodore. And the beauty of it is that, so I see this guy around town. We golf, we whatever. His hair, so back in the day when he grew it out, it's curly. He didn't have to do anything to it. A little pick here and there. He had to so he's grown his hair out again. And that hair is like perfectly straight now. Perfectly straight.
He looked like Lord Farquaad.
He had to get a hair job. So they had a full-on perm. They had a stylist in there getting that bad boy ready. They brought the robe out with the yellow pits.
Oh.
That thing, I can't even imagine how bad that thing's. Now it's got mold on it and still those yellow pit stains. But what a show. I mean, Mike Commodore, he ripped that thing, and the crowd obviously got into it.
Incredible. And there's no team that embodies its head coach's philosophies and attitude more than the Carolina Hurricanes. How about Rod the Bod ripping off the tarp and just going full psycho mode with the Stanley Cup? And did you see when he like tossed it in the air and caught it? Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
Oh, he like, it looked like he was trying to lift it up and it kind of slipped, and he like catches it like this, and then he lifts it up. He was just going.
I saw him hugging it. Is that what I missed? I missed
think
the
that
toss.
was it.
Okay.
I think that was it. He was going psycho.
It's one thing. How old is this guy? He's got to be close to 60. He is ripped. Like, I've heard the stories. I've heard all of it, right? It's like Sasquatch, but we literally saw it. He ripped his tarp off, and he is jacked. He had 18 abs. Like, I haven't seen an ab in I don't know how long. Like, I'm now 51. I've lost them all. I'm like a barrel. I got one big ab, one giant ab, and Rod Brind'Amour, I mean, my God, is he a Greek god?
He's 55. He's 55.
Oh, all right, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Incredible stuff. And, Vegas just got overwhelmed. They had a great run, but just kind of ran out of juice. And Carolina did to the Golden Knights what they do to kind of everybody. It just took them a little bit longer against Vegas, and a worthy champion. And something I was talking about with Adrian Denny, Tyson, on Mammoth Daily. Like, can we now say that the Carolina Hurricanes officially won the Mikko Rantanen drama? Like, remember that when they got Rantanen, then they shipped him out after like 19 games,
and they got Stankoven.
Yeah. And
Stankoven. What did he have? 11 and Taylor Hall.
Yes, they got Hall from Chicago in the three-way trade. That was the trade that sent Rantanen to Dallas. And they got
Holy.
first-round picks. They've got 4 first-round picks the next 3 years. They've got $12 million in cap space, and none of their guys are making more than $10 million. And they got all their big guys locked up, and Bussy's making like $50K.
And now what do they have? A cup, a Stanley Cup. I didn't know that, dude. I didn't know the intricacy of that whole trade. I mean, Taylor Hall. First of all, I'll say this: outside of Stan Coven, I mean, Stan Coven was an absolute animal. An animal. He's a Kamloops Blazer. It's my, my old boy. So I got to give him a plug there. I wanted him in Utah so bad, and we obviously went in a different direction. And who knows, right? No one has a crystal ball. But first of all, I want to say this: no one's happier that Vegas lost more so than the Toronto Maple Leafs fans, because they didn't want to see Mitch Marner win a Stanley Cup, right? So, some of the memes I've seen with Tortorella, like feeding him with a baby bottle, like I loved it. So Toronto, like, congratulations. Like, Mitch Marner did not win a Stanley Cup. So you're safe in that regard. But Stan Coven, Taylor Hall. I had Taylor Hall in Arizona back in the day. I thought he was done. We had Jordan Martin back in Arizona. Yeah. I thought he was done. These guys and Rod Brind'Amour, he rejuvenated their careers. Literally. Taylor Hall was always a skill guy. But how many big hits did he lay out? He laid it all on the line. He's now, I don't know how old Taylor Hall is, but he had to have known this is one of his last kicks at the can. And this guy won a Stanley Cup. I was in tears watching him lift that cup, right? And then some of the young guys, Stan Coven, Jarvis, Blake, right? Like, I mean, these guys are young guys that are now Stanley Cup champions, and that is something you can never take away. And in this interview that we're about to play, Mike Commodore and Ray Whitney, they talk about it. I think they're going on like a 20-year reunion cruise trip in Europe in August as a 20-year reunion, right? How cool is that? Because when you win together, you're together forever as a family. And that's the coolest thing about it.
That's amazing. Taylor Hall, by the way, 34 years old, 16 seasons in the NHL, 7 different teams. Wow. And he got to Carolina in the middle of last season, and obviously was a huge piece for that team. But what a run, and kind of works out that we got Kami and Whitney on this episode. Like, imagine if Vegas won. we were running these two guys like that.
Weren't they down in the series when we taped the interview though? Wasn't it 2-1 Vegas?
I think it was. Like, it was not looking good for.
Then it was 2-2. Then it was 3-2. Like, they won 3 games in a row. Did they not?
I can't remember at what point we recorded this, but at this stage, like, yeah, it was anything but certain that Carolina was going to be hoisting the Stanley Cup.
And hey, folks, before we get to the interview, like, again, NHL is a copycat league, and the way Brind'Amour coaches, you got to think every coach in the National Hockey League and the American Hockey League is like, okay, we are full on press. Like, they are so aggressive, so in your face, the D pinch at every opportunity. That works. Like, you can't breathe. I don't care how skilled you are. Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, all the superstars. When you have a guy coming at you, every time you touch the puck, it makes it very, very difficult. Even when they're like, imagine me when I played, like, I would have chopped it up into 18 pieces. But even the skill guys struggle with that type of defense, right? And it works. So I would love to see the Utah Mammoth get a little more aggressive in how they play, especially because they're so fast, right? I don't know if there's a faster team. Like, there's faster players, but is there a faster team as a whole than the Utah Mammoth, and how they could, emulate that aggressive style of checking and defending, right? So it'll be interesting to see what happens next year. I also love some of their set plays on the power play. I don't know if you saw that last night, but they win a face-off. They get that puck down to the winger below the goal line. The other winger drops down on the other side of the net. I'm talking on the power play. And Gostisbehere comes down immediately down on the weak side, and he gets a feed. It goes forward to forward behind the net. Have you ever seen that on a power play? No, you haven't. At least I haven't. For all the years I've done it, it's so like automatic how you go about your power play. That was a different play than I've ever seen before. And that just set up Gostisbehere. He didn't score on the play, but I'm telling you what, like I'm preaching it to every kid that I talk to today. I'm like, this is a new way to run a power play. You can't be so obvious. You can't be so automatic, right? And it was just another coaching philosophy, obviously from Rod the Bod, but it was fun to watch.
One more question for you before we get to Mike Commodore and Ray Whitney. The type of player that Carolina has, or the type of player to be able to play that system that Carolina has, is it just hustle and foot speed? Like what are the attributes you have to have? Because it seems like they go out and find players that fit what they do.
Yeah. And I've often said that. And I'm going to ask Bill when we have him on. I think we're taping him next week. I think more teams need to go out and instead of drafting all these skill players, point players, and then trying to pigeonhole them into a third and fourth line role, you actually go out and you draft a Jordan Martinook, right? Like if you look at his career, you look at his junior, look at his stats, like he wasn't a skill guy. He was a mucker. He was a grinder. He was a face-off guy. He blocks shots. He kills penalties. He does all the intangibles that make you win at the most important time of the year. And I thought he was one of the unsung heroes of the entire Stanley Cup playoffs. And for me, to play that style, you have to have a complete buy-in from your star players. Aho, I think, was the only player that hit 80 points. The rest of them were 60 and under, right? Stankoven, what did he have? I don't even think he hit 50 points this year, right? But it matters. You have to give up offense to play team defense. And you have to be willing to do it and sacrifice your ego and know that it works and it's winning hockey. And I think you're going to see a lot more teams do that next year.
Copycat league. Can't copy everything the Hurricanes do, but what will teams take away? What pieces will they try and emulate in the seasons to come? We'll see. We're also going to see and hear from Mike Commodore and Ray Whitney. Really fun conversation with those two old teammates as they have fun chopping it up with me and Tyson. We'll get to that interview right here on the NashCast.
Well, folks, we got a couple legends on and off the ice today. It's a special one. We're turning back the clock, folks. We're turning back the clock. The 2006 Stanley Cup champs, one of the best runs in NHL history. Joining us on the show today, two key members of the pesky Carolina Hurricanes, the Wizard, Ray Whitney, and Mike Commodore, my old co-host. Fellas, how we doing, boys?
We're doing great.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I'm doing
buddy.
great,
Good to be on.
Nasher. Nice to be back on the old NashCast. It's been a couple months. Everything's good. How's Kelowna? Looks nice where you're at.
Kelowna's good, buddy. The tarps will be off. The Speedo will be on. The water's a little chilly, so that doesn't help my case,
Maybe keep
as
the
you
Speedo
guys
off,
know.
Keep the Speedo off. The water's that cold.
You've seen me in the shower. It's not doing me any favors. Commie, I like the fact that you stole my microphone. We're missing a microphone.
Well, you guys weren't paying me, so
Now
I
we
had to
know where
get
it went.
something, so I stole the microphone. No, I'm just kidding. I actually invested. You guys didn't pay me, but I got you bought me lots of drinks, so I felt like I got on the winning end of that. No question about it. But it was a good time.
Yeah, you had
Lake
no
effects.
problem.
Everybody always, people
right?
ask me about Salt Lake City, and they're like, what's it like? I heard it's kind of weird. I'm like, hey, look. The arena's great. The hotel's nice, and lake effects is awesome. I'm like, I think Salt Lake City's great. I don't know what everybody else is talking about. I can't wait to go back. I'm actually back there in a couple weeks, to be honest, with our mutual friend. I got a return invite to the member guest at Salt Lake Country Club with Dr. Connors. Yeah.
Oh my God, the heart surgeon, my boy Rafe. I love it.
I don't think he plays with the likes of me, so no. It's me and Doc are the partners, and so no, it'll be good. It's a really fun event. Well served there too. I don't know what everybody's talking. This Salt Lake place is great.
I know Natcher and Kami, you guys had some good times at Lake Effect, but I believe that bar used to be called the Green Parrot. And Ray, you were with the Grizzlies in the 90s. Did you remember a bar called the Green Parrot? What were your spots?
Well, that's a long time ago. I mean, the memory isn't quite what it was for. It's I do remember having a better time than people said, though, for sure. I was out with a couple guys who like to have some cocktails daily. Mick Vakota and Andy Brickley. I don't know if you guys have
Oh, Bricks.
but I was there. Yeah, I was there alone from my live right downtown too. So I enjoyed my time in Salt Lake City, and we go to Park City. I remember going to a place in Park City always time for some garlic burgers, and man, it was a good run up there to have those, but the run back down was quick. I mean, you get your ass back to the toilet quickly after the
Peeling paint off the walls
but,
too.
it was great. It was great. I had a great time. I was there 40-some games, I think. Played a couple rounds in the playoffs there.
Where'd you
I
guys
enjoyed
play,
Salt
Ray?
Lake.
Like,
It
was it? Like, was it? Right there. Oh, okay.
Delta Center.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
We still played in the big one. Yeah.
Hey Ray, put the curl bar down, all right? Like, are you doing bicep curls as we're doing this video?
I know,
Like,
it's
look at the guns on you.
Just a natural.
You're supposed to be a skill
Well,
guy,
listen,
soft skill
Listen,
guy.
I retired and I'm short. I can't be short and fat, so I can control the fat. I can't control the short.
I love it. All right, boys. So we're 20 years removed. June 19th, 2006. First memory, Razor. What comes to mind with that Cup championship run?
In 06, well, I guess it would be Cam Ward. I think the funniest thing about that is we're down 0-2 at home to Montreal going into, well, you guys watch the playoffs this year. You see how Montreal, how crazy that building is and how that city goes. We're going down there and went to a rookie goaltender who was 8-8 during the regular season. And from there, we win the next 3 or 4 games, 2-1. So, a lot of great things happened in the playoffs, but I think the number one thing was that goaltender change and how well Cam Ward played. And Martin Gerber was a little under the weather to start that series. And unfortunately, in the playoffs, you just can't wait for somebody to get their legs under them. So Cam Ward for me was the number one thing I remember about those playoffs.
Wow, how about for you, Commie?
Yeah, I think. Sorry, I cut out there. I think my mic's all screwed up now. You hear me?
Yeah.
We got you.
Okay. Yeah, for me, you know what? The first thing I remember about those playoffs was kind of similar to that. It's the old. I remember, we had a really good year, like an excellent year. I mean, we lost a couple games in a row, not very many times. Maybe lost 3 games in a row once, maybe towards the end of the year. If I remember right, we were a little cool in March, but I mean, by and large, it was a pretty smooth year. And I remember those first 2 games against Montreal. We're the 2 seed. They come in, we lose 2 games, and what I remember the most probably is driving back to Cary after losing the second game, and I just remember thinking, I'm like, we can't go out like this. Like, I got to be better. Like, I'm going to do everything I can, and everybody has to be better. And remember just thinking that, and then we all came together. We rattled off 4 straight, and then we were cruising pretty good from there. But that's probably the first thing I think of more than anything else is. That it wasn't the greatest start to it, and 2 games in, it's like, man, this can't end like this, and then we got it together and hit the gas pedal.
Well, I had forgotten until I looked back at the hockey DB, but you guys added some legends there in the middle of the season. It was Mark Recchi that joined you guys, I think, with like 20 games left or something like that, and then Doug Waite in the middle of the year as well. So like when you guys made those additions, was there kind of this collective belief like, okay, this is our time here?
Well, I'll go first here, Kami. I can say this in all my years of 20 plus years in the NHL, I only came back and told my wife one time that I think that we have a chance to win, and that was in 06. And this is coming off my previous team was the President Trophy winning Detroit Red Wings. We won the President's Trophy. We lost in the second round of Calgary, but not once during the year did I think or say to my wife, I think we can win the Stanley Cup. I assumed we probably had a good chance because we were that good, and we had like 7 or 8 Hall of Famers on it. But the year in Carolina was the first time she'd ever heard me, and the only time that heard me say that then. And then when we traded for Dougie in January, and we traded for Rex in March, I think that just showed the whole team as they're all in. They felt the same way that we had the team to do it, especially on the first year of the new rules. I think the management did a great job of building a team that was conducive to the new rules and no hooking, no holding. And they were pretty bullish on penalties back then too. So we had a team that could run up and down the ice pretty fast and score a lot of goals. So that was my first thing. And when we got those 2 guys in there, it was pretty impressive. And a great story on a side note, Dougie Waite comes in the first game. He comes into Montreal. We just finished waxing Montreal at home. We waxed them every game during the season. talking 7-2 or 8.
We did.
Exactly. And in Montreal too. So, obviously they're getting booed off the ice. We had a practice the next day. We stayed over. We were going somewhere else. And Dougie Waite's sitting there and after practice, this face halfway through, we're 20 minutes into the practice, was about as red as my Commodore's shirt right now. And he looks at me, he goes, did we get in trouble last night? Did somebody do something stupid? Like, what's going on here? Why are we skating so hard? And I said, Dougie, you'll get used to it. I said, it'll take you a couple of weeks, but this is how we go every day here. It goes every day. And then in March, the same thing happened with Mark Recchi. He looks at the waiter. He goes, what the hell's going on here? Why do we get skated? Like, we do something wrong? And then Dougie waits to the same at the end. He started laughing. He goes, oh, this team, I've never seen skate like this in practice. We skated hard every freaking day. And if you look at the Carolina Hurricanes now, I probably can guarantee you that Rod Brind'Amour has them working the same way. When you're built to run, you're just built to run, and you got to urine out every day. And that's Lavi's that year.
Yeah, from my perspective, like obviously when we traded for Doug Waite especially, Mark Recchi as well, but for Doug Waite, and I grew up outside of Edmonton, Alberta, in Fort Saskatchewan, and I remember watching Dougie Waite cruising around with the Oilers. I mean, Doug Waite was the man. I love that guy. And so we traded for Dougie, and Ray has a little different perspective on that season than I do. Ray already obviously very well established, and where for me, I'd been up and down basically my entire career, and that year I wasn't really looking at the team as a whole. I mean, I was, but I was also concerned, like, man, I need to in the lineup and get some minutes. So like, yeah, I was obviously I was concerned with what we were doing, but I was also concerned, like, I like. But when we started trading for them, I started playing, it's just kind of the timing wise or whatever, started playing a little bit more and going from there. And then it was going forward for me where I'm like, man, we might have something here. Like, we're pretty good. We can score up. That was one thing with our team is like, it had nothing to do with me. I just shot the puck off the glass and made Ray go get it. But we had a team that, like, when we could be down a couple goals going into the third, it was like, yeah, not a big deal. Not ideal, but like not a big deal. Like, we're going to win this game. And more often than not, we did. And that was kind of one thing that I really remember throughout the season was like, we were never really, unless we were just getting smoked, which was very rare. I think the only time I remember us getting smoked was after we won 9-0.
9-0. Atlanta beat us 9-0 at home.
Unreal memories. I heard everything changed, Commie, when Doug Waite got that restraining order because you wouldn't leave him alone because you were such a big fan. But Ray, I got to ask you, because you've spent more time in locker rooms. You were, I don't know how old you were. What is it, 9 or 10? You were in the Edmonton Oilers locker rooms back in the day with Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier. But what made this locker room so different in Carolina for you?
Well, it was kind of the mojo of all season. Peter Laviolette wanted to make sure we didn't have a legit superstar. Eric Stahl kind of turned into be one that year. He got 100 points, but our captain was a very hardworking, humble guy. Glenn Wesley was an assistant captain who was kind of on a straight and narrow path at the time. And our group inside was just, nobody felt that they were bigger than the other and than anybody else. So our group was extremely tight. Off the ice as well as on the ice. So it's a little different when you have superstars. Listen, in today's game, you need superstars to win pretty much. But you can still go along with the group. And I think for us, it was more of a group effort. There was no superstar, even though Dougie Waite was, like Connie said, over the last few years had been kind of up in that upper echelon. But he also got moved and he joined our group and fit right in. And not once did he think, I'm running this program anymore. He said, nobody's running it. We had 3-4 lines. We had 3 lines at any time could score a goal, like any time, which was really, if Laviolette wanted to really piss me off, he'd put the numbers up on the wall and he'd have me in the third line. And he'd just do it and watch the assistant coach was watch how bad he plays tonight. Because he knows I hate it. I said, there's no freaking way I'm on a third line in this team. Not a chance. And he did it just to piss me off like 3 or 4 times a year. The only one he wanted me to really get my game going, I guess. He pissed me off when he did that. But our team was deep and it was very tight. So that was the difference. The Edmonton Oilers had superstars back in the 80s, and Detroit, we had superstars. We had, you don't always win with superstars, but sure as hell you can win with a group of everybody pulling on the same piece of rope. And that's what you see that rope that Roddy has in the room there now. And that's kind of how we did it in 06.
It does kind of feel like a similar vibe, like where you have like some high end players, but like you don't have that, the one McDavid or the one Gretzky, right? And so I guess like my question for both of you guys is Ray, you mentioned like the pace with which you guys practice with. That's obviously carried into the way Carolina plays today with Rod Brind'Amour. But do you feel like you have to have that type of roster construction where you don't have that maybe number one transcendent superstar, but instead a collective group? Do you think you have to have that makeup to be able to play the way that you guys did and the way that Carolina does now?
I don't think so. I think you can win with both ways. I think superstars obviously can help that. You look at Washington wins; they have the best goal scorer of all time on their team. But you look at St. Louis a few years ago when they won; they didn't have a guy making over $8 million, and they won as a group. And so even this Vegas team, Jack Eichel's he's probably right there in terms of superstar, but I think he's more of he's changed his game and he plays it pretty good at both ends now. And is he a superstar? Probably to some degree, but I think he toes the rope just like everybody else there. And, actually, I don't think you need to, but I think it certainly helps when you have a group. Carolina right now is very similar to us in that way. They got some really good high-end players. I wouldn't say one is a superstar, but you look at their second line that's been so hot in playoffs, and then you look if Aho's line gets going, they're going to need that, I think, to win. But just how that group is assembled, it reminds me very much. I think it helps to win for sure if you have a group that's not reliant on one or two people.
Kami, I got to ask you about slogans. I know back in junior, it was a thing for us in Kamloops. It was kind of cheesy. I know that, but every team seems to have them. Did you guys have a slogan back in the day in 2006?
We did, didn't we?
mean,
Ray,
everyone does
what
it.
was it again?
Whatever it takes.
Oh,
On the
yeah.
inside of our rings.
Whatever it takes. On
Never
and
looked
off
at
the
that
ice.
picture.
Whatever it takes. The comments on the superstar thing, I could hear Ray before it cut out. I don't know what Ray's talking about. Our decor was loaded with superstars. We had Aaron Ward, Frank Caberlet, Brett Hedican, me, Glenn Wesley, and Nick Wallin.
Yep.
Superstars.
HOF all the way around.
That's right. Off the glass.
Kami, as far as Pete goes, what was his biggest and best strength as a coach for you guys?
As far as Laviolette?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, from my perspective, I thought, like, I had heard a little bit before. I mean, it's like everybody has their coaches. I mean, I got my coaches that I don't, everybody's got their coaches they don't like. And, for me, Peter was the first one NHL wise. I thought his communication was great. Like, at least from my perspective, like, I think he did a really good job. Now, I wasn't really involved in this because I was 26 years old and single and cruising up and down Glenwood Ave when it was appropriate. But, like, he was very good at, like, bringing, like, families into it, wives into it, which I do think is important. I mean, they're a big part of things. Now, I wasn't, I went into the wives' room. I'd say hi to everybody. Hey, how the kids doing? Everything good? See you guys later. And I was gone. But I think he was very good at bringing everybody together. I think he was, and his communication, from my perspective, I thought he was very honest, which I appreciated, especially with myself. And yeah, I mean, I enjoyed that. It ended up working out well for me. I mean, he was kind of the first guy for myself that like gave me a chance to like actually play a little bit instead of just kind of sitting around for 10 minutes and maybe play a little bit more. Like, and I'd say this whenever it comes up, like I owe my career to Brett Hedican. I didn't know this until after we were done, like till after the run was over. Brett never said a word, but Brett Hedican and I ended up being D partners from about like the beginning of March or so, right through till the end of the playoffs, which was great for me because I was a poor skater. Brett Hedican was a great skater, so he could go get the puck. I just made sure I would get open, keep it simple, and keep it moving forward. And but Brett Hedican went in. I was I was in the lineup but not playing. We were doing the 7D thing, which I hated. Oleg Tverdovsky was getting in, so I'm like, this sucks. You don't get a regular shift. And Brett went into the office. He told me after it was all done, and he went to Peter and said, hey, like, enough of this 7D stuff. Like, I want to play with Commodore. And from that point forward, we were partners for the rest of the way. And I owe a lot to Brett Hedican, and I thank him every time I see him.
I mean, was that your first like full season in the NHL, Kami? That 05-06 year in Carolina? Like what was that like to be up, with the big club for the full campaign and then to be a part of a run as well?
Yeah. I mean, it was my 6th year pro, but I just couldn't quite get out of the jungle. It kept pulling me back in. So like I was up and down my first 2 years with New Jersey, 50%, like half in Albany, half in New Jersey. My 3rd year was a total catastrophe with Babcock in Anaheim. I went to, I spent until I got traded at the deadline. I was in Cincinnati. Then I finished the year in Calgary. Then the next year, which was 03-04 year, I was in the minors for the first half of the year, got called up, got hurt, and then finished. And then we went on a run to the finals and lost to Tampa. And then I finally, after that, I'm like, man, I think I played like pretty decent here. Maybe a one-way contract. I signed a one-way contract before the lockout, like 2 years, whatever the league minimum was. And I'm like, yes, I made it. They're not going to send me down, or at least if I get sent down, I'm not getting my salary chopped in a 10th. And then the lockout hits, and I'm like, oh my God, back to the minors. So back to the minors, making less than I ever did, because Daryl Sutter was like, oh, God. When I went back to the minor, I'm like, Daryl, like I just went to the finals. I played a couple hundred games in the minors. I'm like a veteran. I'm going to be a veteran, like a leader on this team. Like, I got to be making 6 figures down in Lowell. He's like, oh yeah. I'm like, well, yeah. He's like, I'll tell you what, I'm going to pay you 50. And if you don't like it, don't play. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll take the 50. So anyways, then the lockout year, get traded to Carolina after that when Crosby got drafted. Yeah, that ended up being like my first time. I was one of the few guys where the salary got rolled back, and I was below league minimum. So I actually had to get bumped up to make the league minimum. And then, it all worked out well for me in Carolina. And then I ended up tagging on a few years after that. But yeah, that was my first year. And yeah, it was my first year, like ever, I guess as a pro, being on like one team. It wasn't back and forth or getting traded or whatnot. So yeah, it was a special group. There's no question about that.
Everyone talks about Montreal. Ray, you talked about it already in the playoffs and the crowd, the environment. I don't think Carolina gets enough respect. I mean, the tailgating, the building itself. Ray, how crazy is Carolina? What are we missing here as NHL fans?
It's an experience for sure. I think everybody, if you can go watch your team play in the final or in the playoffs against Carolina, if they have to be playing, it's worth the road trip. Like you said, we got the tailgating. It feels like a football game out there. And then when you're inside, it's as loud of a building as I've ever been in. And, game 7, the crowd didn't sit down for the entire game. They sat down during the intermission, which I've never seen, I haven't seen since. And that was the game 7. So that building got going and it got rocking extremely loud in the playoffs. You can hear it. You can hear it the other night, especially when Ehlers scored 30 seconds in there, 25 seconds into the first game. That roof almost came right off. So it is a very special place. The tailgating became a problem because after the game, I don't know, my wife was so freaking drunk after every game because she'd be there 2 o'clock in the afternoon in that heat, drinking booze and the stress of hockey. And I realized why now after I watched the Olympics for Canada when they won in gold and gold by Crosby. Every time they stopped your play, you take a drink because you're kind of that wound up. And now I realize what happened to the wives and why they were blasted after every game we got home. I mean, it's just, I got to drive home, tuck her to bed, but she had a hell of a run too. She had a hell of a run with me. That's for sure.
Are they going to ask you guys to come back and do the siren? Like the noise thing before the game?
I'm sure Mike might be able to do it. I work for the NHL still, so I'm sure Vegas would like to see somebody who's working for the NHL up there ringing the siren in support of the team that they're playing against in the finals. It probably wouldn't go great. So I am partial when it comes to this right now. It just happens to be the team I won with that's playing. That's about as far as I can go with it.
I did get a text message today, actually. So, yeah, maybe Game 5 is potentially in play. Now, this new ownership, getting there, he gets a little bit of a deal with there's from Phoenix to Raleigh, there's one direct flight, like I think with American Airlines and Southwest each day. But apparently he gets a little bit of a deal on the economy seats in Delta. So I got to go connect. So I'm not sure if it's going to work out. I literally just got a text message. Yeah, I think it'll take me like 14 hours to get there. But game 5 might be in play. I mean, it would be cool. I have seen a few of the guys up there, Stoller up there and Cam Ward. And they've had some, other people like some local, some Panthers guys and some old basketball players and stuff like that.
Yeah, so, I think LaRose did
that's right. Rosie did it to kick off last round, I think, the conference final. So, yeah, I mean, that's a cool little thing they do. I think Vegas does it too, don't they?
Yeah. I think Minnesota started it, didn't they? Was there a veteran guy that stood up?
Well, I know Peter was going to come in and talk after the second period in Edmonton when we were down, but he could hear me yelling from probably two rooms away, and I flipped. The little guy came out. I had a little little guy syndrome came out. I was bombing fly. I was a lunatic yelling. So he didn't have to come in after that. He kind of heard and understood where we were. And to be honest, I think Roddy did say something at some point. And he sat us down and it's like, listen, we believed in each other all year long. We're gonna, like Tommy just said, a loss. I'll throw in the garbage. We get together as a group here and we recollect and we go back in front of our fans and get it done. And we played really good in that game 7. I would tell you what, it was a good game 7. It was tight to be in. You didn't want the puck in your stick for very long. Even as a steel guy, I was like, I'm not sure I want this puck. I'm not trying to carry it to the neutral zone here. I'm making sure it's over that red line. I'm making sure it's deep too. I'm not turning this thing over. So I tell you what, it's nerve-wracking. Tommy could tell you he was on the ice at the end when it mattered most in a 2-1 lead. He was on that ice for the empty netter, and I could tell you, I'm sure that puck was on his stick more than a fraction of a second. It was.
You're feeling. Oh man, it was
feeling gone.
I know. I didn't want to be on that ice that last minute.
No. Anything off, that thing was out of here. To comment on what Ray said, I will say, like that game 6, when I say we got pounded, like that game, from what I remember, 5 to 10 minutes in, I'm like, this is a problem. Like, this is about getting through this game without getting killed. Like, they were steamrolling everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just need to get through this game. And I almost think, like, it's probably a good thing. Looking back, whatever. Like I said, it's game to game, but they probably pounded us so bad. And it was, if this makes sense, they beat us so bad in game 6 in every facet of the game that it was probably ended up being a good thing for us because we just flushed it. And at the end of the day, like, it's like, this isn't happening to us 2 games in a row. We're too good for that. I think that was like it was in the back of my mind anyways, a little bit. So I think it was like the pounding was so bad that it was like, okay, in the garbage, game 7, we worked hard for this all year to have this. And I think Rod said something along the lines of like, hey, beginning of the year, if somebody says you got game 7 at home to win the cup, we'd take it. He said something along those lines, I think.
Yeah.
And he was right.
When you guys went down or lost those games 5 and 6, series is tied all of a sudden, Tommy, were you ever thinking about washing the robe there?
Oh, no, that never crossed my mind. No, I was sticking with what worked. That thing does need a wash. There's no question about that. They still have that thing at the Hockey Hall of Fame, and I don't. Maybe they've washed it now, but that thing was nothing but sweat. I didn't wash it once.
Right.
And then, I mean, obviously I was wearing it after, so it was nothing but sweat and then booze after we won. Yeah, we weren't quite that desperate, but yeah, it was getting towards that point.
We were such a good group that, we always relied on a little bit of everybody. Somebody who I thought played unbelievably well that kind of didn't play as much as he probably should have over the years and played unbelievable in the finals was Andrew Ladd. Dougie got hurt there in game 5. And then Ladder played so physical in finals. Game 1, he runs over Rolliston, gets pushed into Rolliston, who's on a heater of all heaters, and knocks him out. But the way he played, he moved up and down the lineup. He got up on the Stallers line for a little bit. He was with Cully and I. Then Dougie got hurt, and he was with us. I thought he played exceptionally well for a guy who didn't get the minutes that he probably always wanted as a first-round draft pick. But that guy played sneaky heavy and sneaky tough in the playoffs for us, I thought. And everybody told the rope, but I wasn't expecting him to be as effective with his physicality as he was.
Sign of what was to come, because after that, another cup and He had a great career for himself, no question.
Yeah. I mean, our power play wasn't going in the first series Montreal. We couldn't get one on the power play, and then Stiller gets one from way out late in the blue line. And I mean, you need a little bit of luck too. I'll be honest with you. The Detroit Red Wings were going to be a problem for us. Edmonton Oilers knocked them out for us. Ottawa, who was the number one seed in the East, was going to be a problem for us. Buffalo knocks them out for us. So I think anybody who's going to win a Stanley Cup has to have some help. And you see what happened this year with by the time we get to the conference finals, there's a lot of good teams already knocked out that maybe have been a problem for some other teams. And matchups are a huge thing in the playoffs. And I think this one right now is a great matchup that we got for the finals, thankfully.
The body, the mind. I mean, what? Again, you've been through a war, right? Getting to the finals. What's it like? I mean, what's going through your mind? I mean, the fans don't understand, right? Unless you know, you don't know, right? I don't even know. So, what is it like mentally and physically? How beat up are you guys?
Go ahead, Tommy. You were dealing with the Charlie Horse thing. We're in that whole playoff, or
no?
Later?
The Charlie Horse was earlier. Charlie Horse was a disaster right when we traded for Doug Fleet there. That's when I dressed for a game and didn't play. I just sat on the bench and cheered and opened up the gate. No, I mean, I was beat up for sure. Not too. I mean, fortunate enough to go to the finals twice. In Calgary, I think was a little bit worse for me than Carolina, but definitely beat up. But for me, it was like, I mean, one, it's not like I had to, like Ray touched on, I wasn't handling the puck too much. I mean, at the end of the day, my job was to hit people, but I wasn't getting hit really because I didn't really have the puck other than Rafi Torres running me from behind. The old gangster was just taking runs at me left and right. But yeah, for me, like, it was beat up a little bit, but thankfully nothing too bad. And for me, it was as soon as it would, like, once you went out there for warm up, and I especially love playing on the road too, and at home was awesome as well. But I love going out on the road, and as soon as like it would get out there for that anthem, for me it was like whatever was. Now, thankfully, nothing was like too hurt. I wasn't injured, but I mean, I was always ready to go. I love the playoffs. I love the whole idea of it. I love the visiting crowd booing you and everybody's into it. So like any kind of like physical aches and pains or mental fatigue, I was always I was pretty good that way too. So, but yeah, I mean, some guys are it would be really tough if you're obviously one of a very important player and you're like beat up. I mean, that's when you maybe you get a little extra help and maybe a needle or two here and there. And yeah, it's definitely a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I started the playoffs. I missed game 1 of the Montreal series. I was 10 days into a grade 2 MCL sprain.
Oh,
and Lavi asked if I could play the power play, and I can't cross over to the right. My knee's still waving. So the first series for me was tough just because I couldn't skate. The knee wasn't tightened up yet, and but I do remember 2.5 months of just before warm up going into the doc's office and lining up for my Toradol shot in the ass. And you're taking one of those every 2 days. You feel good for a while, but you're certainly glad you're off it. By the end of like game 7, I had enough needle tracks on my ass that those Toradols that I'm like, okay, that's
that's like a pin cushion.
Was that?
Yeah, I'm glad it was over there. Yeah, but it's tough. I mean, you saw some guys, guys who block shots and guys who take hits. I never got hit a whole lot, but Glenn Wesley, I think he's in one series and one shift, I think he had 6 blocks in one shift on the PK. Every time he got up, he'd drop down, he'd get blasted again, and he'd taken him off the ankle, the knee, he took one off the shoulder. I mean, it was pretty impressive. He got a standing ovation, which he deserved every freaking bit of it too, for how many shots he blocked that one shift. So he had more blocks in the shift than I had my entire career. So it was pretty impressive.
Oh, well, speaking of block shots, did you guys see the shot that McNabb took the other day? I mean,
Yeah,
have you guys ever taken one in the face or the visor like that?
Yes. At my size, it's not even over the net. I'm stop Darren Hatcher from scoring top shelf. He hit me. I turned around square. He hit me square right in the visor. Thankfully, it didn't deflect down and hit me. But I tell you what, it rings your ears. It rings it. That stings. And I know, Kami, you weren't even wearing a visor that year we won the cup. I think you put one on later in your career. But Yeah, I've had a couple pucks in the face, couple sticks. I mean, it's not a lot of fun, but I'd rather have those situations still, even to this day, than putting a full face mask on like college. I think I think that's a little sillier. I think it's still what separates us from the other sports is that we still have some toughness in our league, and guys are gonna, pay some price to do whatever it takes to win. And if it's some missing teeth or a broken nose, we're not male models anyway. We're fine. We're not Tom Brady.
Badge of honor.
Fine, right? Yeah.
Commie's like, speak for yourselves. Look at my hair. I'm having a great hair day.
Yeah, taking a puck to the face. I took one actually. My 9th game pro, my first year, I was in Albany, and I took a slap shot right above the eye here, and it was the scariest moment of my career. And yeah, that was not fun. It didn't knock me out, but like shattered orbital bone and detached retina, and to this day, because of the surgery, that's what I use an excuse when I couldn't see the forward when he was open in the middle. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I can't see. I had surgery. Oh, anytime it was my right eye. So like basically, like I said, it happened my 9th game pro. I wore a visor for the rest of that year, but like every once in a while I would have to fight. So I kind of felt a little, I'm like, I can't wear this. It doesn't feel right. But every year on like, you know how we would always vote? Like, should we make half visors mandatory? Every year I was, the players would vote. I always voted yes. I'm like, man, let's get some visors because the iron, that's one thing, like nose,
Yeah, your eyes
teeth,
are more important than your teeth.
yeah, like everything else you can fix. Your eyes, you can't fix those. So, yeah.
I needed an Astrovan windshield for a visor with this nose, boys.
Yeah, I don't know if they have them that come out like this.
Hey, what was Rod Brind'Amour like as a captain? And obviously, did you see like any I guess signs that he would be a coach and a damn good one?
Yeah, when I first got the first year there in Carolina was when we won, and obviously I knew who Rod Brind'Amour was, and over the years, Rod and I have kept in touch, which I do really appreciate. I mean, he doesn't need to keep in touch with me, but he does, and I do appreciate it. I mean, he calls me meatball or whatever, and he likes making fun of me a little bit, but I do really appreciate it. But like my first year in Carolina, obviously I know who he is. He's the captain. I didn't have a conversation with Rod. The only interaction I remember having with Rod would we'd be on the ice, and if I chipped it off the glass for an icing or something, and then I'd look at him if he's on the ice with me, he's just staring at me, and I'm like, shit, Rod was open in the middle and I didn't see him. And he wouldn't say anything. I'm like, God damn it, I gotta find Rod. I never talked to him the entire year until the rookie party. We had that rookie party, Ray, remember? And anyways, I had a few cocktails. It wasn't my rookie party. I had my rookie party 6 years earlier, but having a good time and got pretty lit up. And so I had heard that Rod had for like the last 15 years, he'd had a golf tournament where he's from in Campbell River, like a charity golf tournament for MS, multiple sclerosis. And the only guy he ever invited to his tournament was Harold Schneps. That was it. Never invited anybody else. So I heard that at this party. I'm like, come on. I'm like, what a prick. He doesn't invite anybody to his golf tournament. I started hollering at him a little bit from the other side of the room. I'm like, Roddy, what, you got a golf tournament? You don't invite anybody? The reason why he wouldn't invite people is in his head, he's like, well, let's say if I invite Ray, it's Campbell River, it's out of the way, it's a small town. Like, I don't want to people to come because they feel like they have to. That was his thinking. I was shit faced at this rookie party, and I'm like, hey, I'm coming to your golf tournament, whether you invite me or not. He's like, oh, okay. All right. I'll remember that. Well, I didn't foresee us going to play until June 19th on a Monday. And so we win. And it was one of the first things he said, after obviously, and we're hugging and everything and in the room. And he's like, oh, you're going to have a good week, huh? I'm like, oh, I can't wait. I'm going to be going around the colleges. I'm going to have a blast. He's like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that sounds good. He's like, well, don't be late. And I'm like, what do you mean don't be late? Like, remember the golf tournament you were talking about? I'm like, yeah. He's like, it's this weekend. I'm like, oh, shit. So I had to leave on Thursday. So it was a pain in the ass. I had to fly to Vancouver, spend the night, and then fly to Campbell River the next day, played in his golf tournament. But it was awesome. It was a great I think that's one of the, came out there and had a great time with Rod. And ever since then, I think we've kind of hit it off. But as far as the coaching thing, I don't know if I ever saw it coming. I would say the one thing that I do laugh whenever, they have the videos and everything in the room now for the coaches and their speeches and everything. And Roddy's all like jittery, and to me, it's like, there's no way that's comfortable for Rod. Like, he's good
Just
at
tell him to take his shirt off. Just take your shirt
that's
off.
what he should do, yeah. But like, like that can't be a comfortable thing. Like, he said more in one of those speeches than he said to me for the first year that we played. So, but he's good at it, and you can tell that's just him being honest, and I think that's one of the reasons why he comes across well. He's an honest dude, and I think that's one of the major reasons why the players respect him, and you can tell they love playing for him. The Carolina Hurricanes should be thanking Tom Dundon should be thanking his lucky stars for Rod Brind'Amour. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I can see it coming. Nasher, when I played with him, I played with him for 5 years, and each year as he got older, remember he had, they took the captaincy and they gave it to Stoller. As Stoller was coming into his own kind of thing, and but in the end, you still knew who was running that locker room. When he's the first one there, he's got a full workout in before anybody even gets to the rink, and then he starts taping his sticks. Then he goes out and practice, and he's the hardest worker. And every time after in a skate, he's not losing a skating race. We got to go down and back, or we got to do the peanuts, or we got to do laps. And Lavi might just say, okay, 80% boys, just air it out a little bit. Well, if you're in Roddy's side, you're like, shit, 80%, because you can't just do 80% and have him come up with your ass and lap you. So now you're going 100% every time. And then I've been to the locker room a couple times, and since he's been the coach, and you see him in speeches, and you see him get fired up, and you see him after the game talking. He's like, okay, get your workouts in. That team works out harder or as hard as anybody I know team wise. And I'm sure they all like their days off and stuff, but I'm not sure Roddy gives them a whole lot of days off. He gives them rest, but I'm not sure he makes sure that they do something with that body every day, I think, within reason, because I know they get the 4 days off mandatory. But I could see him being a coach when I was playing with him. And like Kami says, he may give him a dirty look for icing it, but I tell you what, if he dropped that puck in the face-off and it went sideways and you didn't win the battle, for that 50-50 puck sideways, oh man, you got a verbal beating. He tore a strip up one side of me, down the other on a 50-50 puck. I kind of, I got outreached. I'll be honest with you. But he wants me sprinting in there cheating. So he takes so much pride in face-offs, which you can tell with their team. They're a pretty good face-off team, and he relies heavily on Jordan Stahl for a lot of good things, even overtime during the season. 3-on-3s, he'd have Jordan go out there, take that opening draw and change, just so that puck possession meant that much to Roddy. And so little things like that I always knew were important to him. I always knew was going to translate into being a coach, because those are little things that a 50-50 puck, if you win 80% of those, that means you have the puck more often than you don't. So things like that mean a lot. Players who played like that tend to do well when their playing career is over, and I think Roddy's showing that now.
Oh, guys, this has been awesome. We've been going for an hour here. We could go for another hour. Tyson, anything else from you before we cut these guys loose?
Last one for me. Who wins, the 2006 team or today's team, boys?
2026 or 06?
Yeah.
I'll go first. The 06 pounding these clowns.
I think so too. That's Stanley and Ray. He reminds me of you, buddy.
Well,
Holy.
I could tell you one thing, though, trying to get to our net against the 06 team, like he said, he just listed them off. I mean, it wasn't easy to get to that net, I'll be honest with you. But what a challenge that would be. I think right now, the pace of the game, we might have to slow it down a little bit before we have to make the ice a little slushier, so they can't. Those guys moving at a little different pace. But
yeah, maybe we wouldn't pound them, Ray. We'd beat them. Maybe we wouldn't.
Yeah, I think we'd beat them. Roddy would find a weakness in them somehow, and we'd beat their ass. Yeah.
Well, thanks, boys. I appreciate it as always. Hockey has never been in a better spot.
For sure.
Thanks for coming on the show, guys. Love you both.
Thanks,
Thank you, guys.
Well, there you have it. Mike Commodore, Ray Whitney, two totally different players, Foltz. Ray Whitney, the Wizard. This guy is as good as it gets, man. I grew up in Edmonton. His dad was the backup, the third, fourth string. He was the guy that they brought in for practices. And Ray Whitney would come on the ice afterwards. He'd tape Wayne Gretzky's stick. He'd baby powder him, all the stuff, right? Ray Whitney literally grew up in that Edmonton Oilers locker room. Then he goes on to have an NHL career like no other. He is so borderline like Hall of Famer. It's not even close. Wins a Stanley Cup. Took him forever, but he finally wins one with the Carolina Hurricanes, playing with the likes of Mark Recchi, who was another big trade at the deadline. Doug Waite as well, my former teammate. He comes to Carolina, helps them push them over the top, right? But again, that team was so dialed. Yes, they were talented. Yes, they were all the things, but they still bought in because at that time, Brind'Amour wasn't the coach. Laviolette was. And they talk about his impact on that team. But he talks about Brind'Amour and the captain that he was, and that they knew from that moment that he would go on to probably have a pretty good coaching career, if he wanted to, right? And he certainly has. Just an incredible coach, an incredible human being. Loved the tarps off, ripping the jersey off, lifting the Stanley Cup in the locker room. You can just tell, right? You can tell that the players love the coach, and that matters, right? You look at Martin St. Louis, same thing. The players just love and idolize him, and Brind'Amour is no different.
Does Whitney, does he work with the NHLPA or what is it? Or player
No, he
safety?
works with the National Hockey League. So he's part of player safety.
Yeah.
I think he's the second or third in command under Peros, who does a remarkable job. He's got two phones on him at all time. He's watching games. He's watching game tape. He's watching every hit that is susceptible or questionable, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But it's so happy for Ray. And then there's Commodore, right? He was more of a stay-at-home defenseman. He was just kind of coming into his own before he left for Calgary after that, I believe, and lost, just like the Vegas Golden Knights did in the Stanley Cup Finals in Game 7, actually. I think it was Tampa that ended up beating them. But I think Tortorella was one of the assistant coaches with Tampa at that time. But Commodore, friend of the show, he's co-hosted with me on the NashCast. He's going to be back, I would guess, next year as well. So it's just the stories, right? I love them all. I love the fact that Carolina came back in this series, and they imposed their will on the Vegas Golden Knights. They really did. And you wonder, I've heard some stuff going around. George McPhee, like all the upper management with Vegas, and the karma that came back from not allowing Cassidy to go out and get another coaching job. Like, it's hilarious how we twist and turn all these little things, right? But anyway, congratulations to the Vegas Golden Knights. I know it's got a sting. I can't imagine going all that way. The bodies, they're beat up, and to lose like that, right? You got nothing to show for it. But again, congratulations, Carolina. Well-deserved. The fan base, they absolutely rocked my world watching that building, that barn. We saw Nick Olczyk doing some of the radio during the Stanley Cup Finals, and he was posting on his Instagram just how loud that crowd was. So hockey is alive and well, folks.
What a series it was. And now it's on to the NHL draft. It's coming up on June 26th. We're going to have a Mammoth draft show for that as well. It'll be on YouTube, on the Utah Mammoth YouTube page. You can watch that draft show. Mammoth are picking 19th overall. So kind of right in that middle, quite a bit further down than where the team was picking last year, where they took Cale Denoyer at 4th overall, but plenty of good players around at 19th. Keith Tkachuk was 19th overall. Yes. He's probably the most notable 19th overall pick.
Yeah, so the Utah Mammoth, this is going to be interesting. And I expect Bill to pull a massive trigger in this draft. I think he's going to pull something, a rabbit out of his hat. We have we picked 19th. And yes, you can get a very good player at 19, but I expect him to package something up. That's just me. That's just my opinion. It means absolutely nothing, but I think that he's going to do something seriously special and big for the Utah Mammoth Hockey Club and the fans.
It was 2 drafts ago when Bill shocked the hockey world and totally changed the future of this organization when he acquired Mikhail Sergachev, and then 10 minutes later, John Marino in two monster moves during the draft. So we will see, and we will also see you next week. Thanks again to Mike Commodore and Ray Whitney. And remember to follow along NashCast Official on Instagram. We'll talk to you next week. God bless and tucks up.